My life seems to predictably consist of unpredictably weird things, and I don't really know what to make of that. The affordances provided by this new technology, you can respond. Everyone can now respond. For so long, to have access to broad-scale media meant that you were a corporation and generally a very rich one. And now everyone has that at their fingertips. And it's a whole new world, like so new. It's so different. No one knows what to make of it. Everyone's a TV producer. Everyone's a radio host. It's stunning. I've been looking at TikTok lately because I try to investigate all these social media forms as they arise, because while I'm interested in communicating with people and I'm curious about the technologies, and one of the things I've seen on TikTok is there'll be a video clip, say, of something I said. Something went viral on TikTok the other day that for every 15 points in IQ a woman gains over 100, her probability of being married declines by about 30%, and the opposite is true for men. And so that's only about a 60-second video, which is par for the course for TikTok. But then people are pairing it with a video of someone listening to that and reacting to it. And so all of a sudden you have this possibility for dialogue in video. That's never been the case. So what does that mean? It's a whole new means of broad-scale communication. It's two-way permanent video with no bureaucratic interference. So it radically levels the media playing field. And you can see, and I see this so interesting too, that the legacy media types they're done. They're so done. And it's happened so fast. I notice among young people that the legacy media, the big magazines, the newspapers, the TV stations, the radio stations for that matter, all of whom had a monopoly on this kind of information flow, are so dead to people under 30 that it's as if their death isn't even noticed. And that's fascinating. A research scientist who studied male and female aggression for 40 years, criminologists equivalent of the Nobel Prize and the Order of Canada, which is Canada's knighthood for all intents and purposes, hundreds of publications, very distinguished scientist. And we had a 2-hour conversation, and I thought afterwards, I've only been able to have conversations like that in graduate seminars, in the highest quality graduate seminars, in the most elite universities, now and then, even though I was placed to have those conversations. 2 hours on a single topic, covered in as much depth as possible by someone who's a world authority. And now I can have that conversation with people, and 150,000 to 1 million people can have access to it instantly. I think God only knows what that is going to be the consequence of that. So it's so fun to play around with this and to experiment with it. And it's such a privilege to be able to do it. And there's so much possibility in it. And I've also been trying to figure out what I'm doing with the podcasts themselves, because that's really what I've been doing a lot of for the last 4 months. And I was interviewed by a Wall Street journalist, and I asked him what he liked about podcasts, because he listened to them a lot. And he said, I really like to see where they're going. And I thought, yeah, that's exactly it. Because in a legacy media interview, everything is scripted and you're never talking to a person. You're talking to the corporation, essentially. And I'm not being cynical about that. It had to be that way because bandwidth was so expensive. But now you can sit down with someone and you can risk exploration. Of course, that's what Joe Rogan has been doing so well for so many years. You can risk exploration. You can have two people having a genuine discussion about a complex issue. And so they're engaging in dialectical thinking. And if they're good at it, they're modeling it. So they can model high quality dialectical thinking and pull people along on an exploratory journey and make it permanent. And that's completely revolutionary. That's never been possible before. And the possibilities are limitless. And then I'm going to rant about this a bit because I am so continually staggered by this. The next thing is you can take those conversations and you can chop them up into 30-second pieces, minute-long pieces, 5-minute-long pieces, 20-minute-long pieces. And each of those can find a specialized home that can attract millions of views. And so it's as if you could write a book and sell it by the sentence. It's really something. And there is something engaging about participating in that, apparently as a listener as well as a participant. And I can tell perfectly well when a podcast discussion is going well, and it's a dance. There has to be this continual reciprocity, and that requires you to attend very carefully to your guest and to listen. I have some trouble with not interrupting because for a variety of reasons, but some of that's the technological lag produced by Zoom and Skype. It makes you a little less, the dance is a little more awkward because the timing is off, but it's really fun when it works, and it's working much of the time when I'm talking to my guest. I have all sorts of people lined up. I'm so excited about it. You reveal the weaknesses and strengths of your argument. You reveal the weaknesses and strengths of your character. But in some sense, you can, even if your character is flawed, like all of our characters are. If you're engaged in something genuine, in a genuine move forward, you're forgiven for that, right? If you're actively rectifying your evident flaws during the discussion, people will forgive you for your flaws. But YouTube and podcast long form seems absolutely unforgiving of any faults, as far as I can tell. I mean, sometimes we do some editing. There's two conditions under which we'll edit. One is just to edit out some technical glitch. We also allow our guests the option of not having something they said broadcast if they believe they've made a factual error or addressed an argument in a misleading way. And that's a little bit more quagmire, but our thought is that if we allow people that veto power to begin with, they're much more likely to be loose and to take risk in the exploration. And we've had to cut virtually nothing except, I think, 2 factual errors of a few seconds. But it's so interesting because in the comments section, if we ever edit anything, there's skepticism right away. And so that's another indication of how unforgiving the medium is with regards to falsity. I'm trying to get politicians on my podcast. Senator Mike Lee, who's probably the most conservative senator in the United States. And I'm hoping that I've been in contact with a large number of Democrats, and I'm hoping they'll take the big leap because they can talk directly to their constituents. They can talk directly to the people who they're responsible to with no intermediation of bureaucracy. Because like I said, I think you can make mistakes, but if you're bargaining in good faith, the audience will forgive you for your mistakes. But you're punished brutally if you're at fault. I'm really attentive to the comments. I watch how people are responding, and 10 people point out something, I try to address it. My team tries to address it. You're probably doing something wrong at some point. If enough people tell you, it's tricky, but it's at least worth considering. It's really exciting.